decided that you wanted to buy some off-grid property, but you don't have a clue where to start. Well, pay attention. This is one of the most frequently asked questions I get on how I found my property, where I bought it from, and all that other stuff. Well, I can tell you, to start with, I was not looking for property in northern Minnesota. There's a guy up there that has a cabin up there, North Woodsman 1. I watch him every week. He has a cabin up in northern Minnesota. He doesn't live there, but he goes there quite frequently. And he loves to sleep outside when it's 10 below zero. That doesn't sound like fun to me. There's also Prepper Nurse 1 up in upstate New York somewhere. I mean, he's complaining, or not complaining, but like most people, bitching about the weather because it's so hot this time of the year. Well, I mean, that's going to be hot everywhere. Doesn't make any difference where you are. It's just kind of all relative. But to me, the key to finding property is figure out what sort of weather you would like to live in outside in a tent for a year, one full year, through the summer, through the fall, through the winter, and through the spring. Now, like I said, that guy up in northern Minnesota, North Woodsman 1, he would love to live outside up there full-time, all year round, in a tent. It doesn't offer enough conveniences for him, but the weather would be perfect for him. He would love it. Like I said, there's many people that I watch on YouTube that they like where their cabin is or where their off-grid property is because of the weather. So if you figure out where it is, the sort of weather you would want to live in for a year in a tent, you're well on your way. And then the key is to only look for property in that sort of climate. Now, I was only looking for property in I preferred southern Arizona, but I was looking for property anywhere in Arizona. I was even looking up by Yucca, up by Seligman, over by Wilcox, down by Douglas. I mean, I was looking all over the whole state. And I saw quite a few pieces, but none of them just grabbed my attention because they were a little too cold, I figured, in the wintertime. And that's the thing, is I would not want to live in Wilcox in a tent in the wintertime. Yucca, maybe. I would not have a problem living here full-time for a year in a tent outside, as far as the weather goes. It would get a little too cold for me in the wintertime, though. That's the key. Summers I can handle. I don't look forward to the heat. Yesterday my thermometer said it was 118 degrees here. I don't think it was quite that hot, but that's what the thermometer said. Now that's uncomfortable for me, but I can tolerate it because it's only going to be 118 for 3 hours. Whereas up in northern Minnesota, it's going to be 10 below zero for 18 out of 24 hours. It might warm up to 5 below zero for a few hours, but most of the time it's going to be freezing freaking cold the whole entire time. And that's what I don't like. Here it's only uncomfortably hot for, like I said, a few hours out of the day. I mean, it's beautiful right now. It's probably about 80, 82 degrees. But it's beautiful outside. It's gorgeous. It's going to get up to 110 today. Oh well, I'm not outside then. I'll be inside with the air conditioner on like I was yesterday. I had no idea it was that hot out. Yeah, that's the key, is figure out where you want to live based on the weather that you like, and then only look there. So Arizona has a very diverse climate. up in the northern half, up by Flagstaff and that sort of area, it gets cold. I mean, Flagstaff is at 8,000 feet, so figure out what sort of temperature you'd have there. I mean, it's beautiful in the summertime. We're talking highs of about 75, but the winters are too cold, and way too much snow. I lived in Gunnison, Colorado, 2 full years. Never moved back there again. It's way too cold in the wintertime. What are you guys doing? Alright, so when I started looking for property, like I said, I started looking in Arizona, and I would have preferred southern Arizona. And where I looked was on Craigslist, Craigslist.org. And I kind of narrowed it down. I mean, I was looking only in Arizona, but when you look on Craigslist, you can break it down by either the city or the county or the area that you want to look in and search for property there. So if I was looking up in northern Minnesota, I would go to Craigslist.org up in Minnesota, because they have them all broken down by states. Every state has their own Craigslist. And I try and narrow it down to whatever the county is up in northern Minnesota, or however they break it down, maybe by the cities, Brainerd or whatever. This guy's even farther north than Brainerd. And that's what I'd do, is I'd look for property up there. If I wanted property in Colorado, because I like the mountains and I like this weather and all that, I would only look on Craigslist in Colorado. Some people like Texas. Some people like the heat, some people like the cold. I can't tell you which place it is to look for, but I can tell you, don't look for property here in southern Arizona if you do not like the heat. That makes no sense. You know, I'm a desert rat. I love the desert. And this is desert. This is southern Arizona desert. Probably not quite what you picture in your head when you think of desert, but this is desert. Like I said, look only on Craigslist. If you get it narrowed down to a specific area, look, search Google. Search that Google thing on your internet machine for a realtor in that area and have them do a little searching for you. But look on Craigslist every day, a couple of times a day, for property in the area that you want to live in because of the weather. The weather will affect your life every day of the year. I mean, you may have to drive 5 more miles to get into town. Well, you do that, what, once a month, twice a month? Who cares? Big deal. So it's 5 more miles. You know, it may cost you an extra $600 because you have to buy the property where you want to live. Oh well, you will forget how much you paid for that property very quickly if it's exactly what you want and you were happy living there. The only time it will be miserable to you how much you paid for it is if you're miserable because of where you bought it. I cannot imagine living in a prettier place. I mean, there's a few places I would have preferred to live. One would be Moab, Utah, but the prices up there are ridiculous. Back when I was looking, it was $25,000 for a 1/4 acre of cropland. It's like, that doesn't sound like fun to me. I'd rather live back in the canyon somewhere, 30 miles out of town, but they don't have any small pieces out there like that. It's all 400 acres, 1,000 acres, whatever. That would be my ideal choice, would be somewhere around Utah, in the Canyonlands area. But the problem with Moab is it gets too freaking cold in the wintertime. It gets murderously cold. It gets up to 107 in the summer. Like I said, every place in the United States gets hot during the summer. So that was never really a concern for me. I mean, it gets hot up in northern Minnesota in the summer. I just was looking for a place that didn't get too cold in the wintertime, and this was the best compromise I could make. If you look on Craigslist and you get a realtor looking for you, helping you, and when I say look on Craigslist, I mean at least twice a day, every day. Make it kind of a religion. First thing in the morning, and then right before you sit down for dinner, look on Craigslist again, because you never know when they're going to pop up. And once they're sold, they're taken down. So if you're not looking, you would never see that it was even there. So Craigslist is the best place to find stuff. I mean, I found my Jeep on Craigslist. I found the house I had in Tucson on Craigslist. I found this property on Craigslist. And there's all sorts of things that you can take into consideration when you're buying property after you found it. But the most important thing to consider when you're looking for property is the weather. Like I said, don't look for weather. I mean, I would never, ever, ever consider looking for property up in northern Minnesota. It just would not make any sense to me, and I would be miserable there way too much time out of the year. Whoops, Remi just got a sticker in her foot. Hold on, I'll be back. May have caught that on camera. If you're paying attention, I haven't checked it yet, but Remi's stepping on a sticker and I'm having to go rescue her. She had most of it out by the time I got there, so. And of course, when I'm talking a sticker, I'm talking something out of a choya, probably. Usually, I mean. Where the hell is this? Oh, okay, there it is. And when I talk about weather and the fact that I like it warm, I don't know if you've heard, but the last few days it's gotten up to 130 or so in Death Valley, California. Well, I would never look for property around Death Valley, California, because it gets too hot there for me. You know, I mean, that's what I'm talking about, is if you don't like the heat, don't look for property around Death Valley. You know, I mean, that's easy to understand, correct? I mean, well, come on. You know, just only look for property in an area that you like the weather. Do some research. I mean, we have the internet machine now to find out all this information we want before we start looking for property. It hasn't always been this way. I remember having to go to a map store about 25 miles away from home to find a map of Phoenix, and this is back when I was living in Minnesota, to find a map of Phoenix, Arizona, because I didn't have a clue what it looked like. I just knew I wanted to go there, but I didn't have a clue what it looked like, so I had to drive 25 miles to a map store to find a map of Phoenix. You don't do that anymore. Just look it up on your internet machine. So, but yeah, the absolute most important thing is only look for property where you would want to live because of the weather. Makes no sense buying property in a place that you would hate to live. And there's many places around the United States I would love to live, but I would hate living there because of the weather. And that's one thing that's going to affect me every day, is the weather. So, nope. I mean, I love Colorado. Like I said, I lived there a couple of years, but the weather is just too extreme for me. I can't stand the cold. I can't stand the snow. Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind the snow if it did it when it was 60 degrees, but it doesn't. I spent 20-some years of my life in Minnesota. Minnesota, yeah. Yeah, sure, you betcha. And I hated every freaking minute of it because it was always so freaking cold, or it was so hot and humid and muggy in the summertime. So it was like the weather just sucked there for me. Some people love that. Almost the entire rest of my family lives up in Colorado, and they do it because they love the cold, they love the snow, they love what that offers. It gets up to 75 there in the summertime. A hot day there would be 80. And they're all, oh God, it's so hot, when it gets up to 80. Like I said, it gets hot everywhere. It doesn't make any difference. So, whatever season of the year it is that you hate the most, look for a place that doesn't have that, you know? I hate cold, I hate winter, so I looked for a place that has the least amount of that as possible. And that was right here. So I hope that helps. Like I said, that's one of the most frequent questions I get was how I found my property. Well, I started looking only where I thought I wanted to live. And then I spent a lot of time on Craigslist. And I was looking for over 6 months before I found this place. Like I said, I was looking all over the whole state. And I came across this place. Couldn't believe my luck. There are deals out there. You just have to be persistent and look and don't settle unless you're going to be happy settling. Now, especially if you're not in a rush to buy the property, that'd be the perfect time to go out and look for it. I mean, if you're desperate, if you already sold your home and you're ready to move and then you say, okay, now I got to start looking, then you're going to basically jump on the first one that looks even somewhat acceptable to you. Don't do that. Start looking ahead of time. I bought this property in 2014 and I didn't have to move out here till 2018. I knew I wanted to live out here, but I wasn't planning on moving out here until this year, which is 2020. That's life. Hopefully you can see. You can see the two lazy ass bums I got here. I don't blame them at all though. Looks like a nice day out there. It is beautiful. Hopefully you can see the thermometer. Almost 120. That's why they're being lazy bums inside the house. I had no idea it was that hot outside. Had the air conditioner on all day.